What is up, guys? Loom here today, and I have a little deck profile for your viewing pleasure. So, ever since My Hero Academia came out, one of my favorite characters of all time has always been Toga. This deck has been, honestly, the hardest deck for me to actually put a build to, and the throw package is definitely one of the tougher packages, but it is so rewarding when it goes off. And we got some new support in set 3 that just makes this deck kind of insane. Finding the package to make this work the way I wanted it to, though, took hours. So I finally came up with this, and it's doing really well in my opinion. Play tested against a bunch of my other decks, like my Tokiyami deck, my Uabami deck, and this deck is pretty amazing because of the fact that the throw package and Toga's effect is so prevalent. The fact that you pretty much deal an additional damage when your attacks are blocked, they have to take a huge throw to the face, which they're not going to do because they can just block with whatever, but they're going to take half damage. But it's an additional 1 damage because of Toga, and then it just adds value. That's one of the things I love about the throw package. But this is what I came up with, so we're going to go ahead and look over it. I'm going to go ahead and switch to difficulty just so it's easier for you guys to see. One of the best cards in set 3, hands down, has to be this card, Carb Loading. This is an absolute insane tool for Toga because of the fact you gain health. So, enhance, commit 1 foundation. This attack gets plus X damage, X equals the difficulty to commit a foundation. Carb Loading itself is a 3-cost difficulty. You commit itself plus 3 damage. Plus 3 damage is nothing to sneeze at, especially in a throw deck. Then, response once per turn after you gain health. Ready this foundation, playable while committed. So, yeah, one of the big things life has going for it is the defense. It has a solid defense. It doesn't have a whole lot of speed hate, and there's a lot of high blocks, which makes life very difficult to build on. So if you notice, I'm only running the Carb Loading, the Excited for Bloods. I'm not running Rescue Complete. Even though it is speed hate, I just felt like too many 3 difficulties was just too much. But you're playing Toga, you need to run 4 Excited for Blood, because this card is insane. Like, flip after your rival loses health, gain 4 health, sweet. You're always going to make your opponents lose health because of Toga's Enhance, which is just insane. And then once per turn, lose 2 health. After your rival loses health, draw a card. This just helps you string along your attack plays, which is fantastic in this deck because you build so many foundations, you don't really care about deadlock as much. Still don't want to go into deadlock, but, you know. Valiant Pose. Another card we got in set 3 that just makes this deck so much better. 1 is a mid block, 2 difficulty, like 5 check. Like 2 mid block is amazing in life because there's not a whole lot of good mid blocks, to be completely honest. I think Tight Lipped is one of the only ones that's really that great in as far as foundations go. And what's really nice about this is your punch kick or slam attack gets plus 2 damage. That doesn't come up as much, but we do run some throws that are punches. And then if there are 3 more attacks in your card pool plus an additional 1 damage, we do run 2 powerful attacks that are punches. So it does come up. But what we really care about is this. Enhance Flip, your next throw attack gets -1 difficulty. This means your throw attacks become 4-cost difficulties, which is absolutely insane. Like, being able to string along throws is scary as all hell. And you're putting out like 9-10 damage per throw when you set up your character the way you do. Well, set up your turns the way you do. So, for Valiant Pose, just kind of like standard, has to be there. 3 bench press. I don't know what's going on with this. Oh, there we go. 3 bench press. If you have lost health this turn, your attack gets +1 damage. That's not once per turn. What does Toga do? Lose 1 health, +1 speed. This card is made for Toga. It's incredible. And then Flip Enhance, Enhance Flip, if this attack deals damage, gain 2 health. So really cool interaction with this card, and I'm not entirely sure, it might have been errated, but it's another way to gain health with Toga, because Toga is a 20 health character, but gain 2 health even when your opponent's attacking you can make a 5 damage attack only 3 damage. So there's some really cool interactions with that to just kind of save yourself. It is a 2 difficulty, 3 low. Low blocks are important. This is definitely not one of the better lows, but it's still better than what we got. So we run 3 of these. 2 Faith Shield, still probably one of the most broken blocks in the entire game. The fact that this card not only seals your opponent's block, making it so it's harder for your opponent to do combo attacks, set up their foundations, etc. This card is absolutely insane. Like, it does so much for what it does. You don't really care about the enhanced destroy. You mostly care about the fact that you get to block in it. It's a walkling built into a card. Not only that, but it also removes itself, so then the progressive difficulty of your next block is lower, which is absolutely amazing. Also, this card is also part of the Toga draw engine. So if you have this in hand, you can actually go Toga response at the end of one of your attacks that dealt damage, or your opponent lost health, and draw a card, discard this if you want, because you have a Creeping Vine Eruption the following attack, and then do some more damage with Creeping Vine Eruption, and then Faith Shield comes back to your hand. Really cool interaction, so you don't have to discard some of the resources that you need. Sunwoma style, honestly, I wish I could run this as a 4-of, but that 2 high is just, it was either this or Walkling, and I didn't want any more 4 controls in my deck. I didn't want any more 4 checks. So it was Sunwoma style. I needed some stun hate. This is an incredible card for stun hate because it makes your stun attack, your opponent's stun attack 0 speed, and it's playable while committed, which is amazing. And then once per turn, destroy 1 foundation, ready this foundation playable while committed. It works really well in conjunction with overhead reversal because we play 0 cost foundations committed, so it's nice to have fodder to trigger to keep your strings going. Another thing that just ThrowGA could not do before. Let's see. Next one is high value target. Like I said, there's not a lot of speed hate in life unless you're playing specific cards that just don't go along with the deck. You'll see it somewhat in the attacks. High value target is one of those cards that is technically a -1 speed if you really think about it, because when committing the past checks, this counts as 2 foundations instead of 1 foundation. The only thing that sucks about it is the fact that if it gets stunned out, it's kind of useless. So always make sure that you leave up enough foundations that your opponent can stun out those without. And the response before or after one of your foundations is destroyed due to a rival's effect. Destroy this foundation instead. Really good against a lot of decks that like to destroy your foundation. So it like destroying your this protects your Excited for Bloods, your carb loadings, all your combo potential cards. So it's very solid in this deck for that reason. Good check too. And then it's a low block as well. For infinite potential. So like I said, life is very prevalent on the fact that it likes high blocks. So I feel like this card is like a pseudo Walkling in a sense. A lot of your throws, you are going to be forced to block with some of your throws sometimes just to survive. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. All your throws, for the most part, are high blocks, which kind of sucks. But this just makes it so it's like a tape in a sense, I feel like. Because it flips it, makes it a high attack, and now you can block it without taking damage. So I run 4 of it because it is also a 1 high block itself. So it's fantastic against decks that are throwing highs at you. Self-Sacrifice, another amazing card. Low block, 1 cost. I bought like a 1 difficulty low block. Fantastic. Like I said, low blocks, you need to have like a consistent base of like as best as you can. Unfortunately, with life, highs are prevalent. But also that destroy 1 foundation, this attack is +1 or -1 damage. That actually matters. Sometimes your throws, like all you need is to ping up that 1 damage just to make it so they take like an extra 5, like an actual 5 damage or a 6 or 7 damage or something like that. I've never got my throw up to 14 damage, but mostly it's like 10 damage, and so they're consistently taking like 5 to 6 damage with your throws, which is still fantastic because it's like they're unblockable for the most part. But yes, this is prevalent. You absolutely need it. Good check. 1 difficulty and a 1 low block that's amazing. So we're going for that. Also, the second, probably one of the best cards in life as well. 1 mid, 0 that you can build off of reverse throw, and flip 1 foundation. Your attack gets +1 damage. Like I said, those damages matter. It's not once per turn, which is really nuts. So we're going for that. We're going 4 release because, like I said, speed hate. This is how you survive. I hate the 4 control check, but it's too good not to have it, so we run 4 of it. It was definitely bouncing around, like if I wanted to run 4 of these, 2 of these, and 2 Walklings, it's very difficult for me to choose. I chose this just because I can build it off some of my attacks and other things. Another thing you guys will notice, I do not run new training method. I feel like I get more control with Create Capture Net as one of my attacks to build some of my foundations, whether like Create Capture Net. I'm also being able to play around like cards like Ready, Set, Go. So, and New Training Method also has a 4 control check. It's a very iffy card in my opinion. In a throw deck, you want to try and balance out the amount of Control checks, most definitely, because there's some turns that you'll play your first like attack and you'll have to commit a foundation. Your next attack you might have to commit 2-3 foundations, and that just feels so bad. So like my control is just solid. It's a total of 6 control. Like that's not bad. Oh, let's go back. But yeah, and then just one recovery girl's kiss. The only reason I run this is literally to be able to build it off my attack, but also it's a 2 mid block. Like I said, life has very little good mid blocks, so this was one of the ones I definitely had to add. We'll get into our attack lineup. We run 4 of one of the best cards in the game, in my opinion. Maybe. There we go. Create Capture Net. This card is insane. I will play this in every deck that I possibly can, just because it is a 5 difficulty, mainly because of the combo enhance, but being able to build a foundation and keep your strings going along. Not to mention, you run a lot of 3 difficulties in this deck. This is a fantastic card to follow a 3 difficulty foundation on your attack turn, because you can set up a card loading, you can set up an Excited for Blood. I run this over Back Alley Haymaker because it does have the stun too, but it lets me build up any foundation instead of just a 0 cost difficulty for my discard. Don't get me wrong, Back Alley is insane, but these are practically the same card in my opinion. And I would rather have the 4 diff, because there have been games where my opponent had no hand. I had enough foundations that I just dropped this and hit him for 4, and that was game, instead of having to play into a 5 cost. So, absolutely amazing card. Definitely one of my favorite cards in the game. Alright, so we'll go into, we run 2 full Power Clash. So it's been bouncing between 2 and 3 full Power Clash, and 2 or 3 Net Gun Surprise. I decided to go for 2 full Power Clash because I really hate seeing this card in my hand. I'd rather see it kind of like turn 3, turn 4, when I need that powerful 2, because literally all your throws are going to go to momentum. Like, there's like literally no reason they won't, unless they're like Underwall Cling or any like face shield themselves. So it's just, you need a powerful attack in this, and it was a bounce between this and Wind Up Punch. The only thing I didn't like about Wind Up Punch is it's a low block. I needed a mid block. Sometimes you need that mid block, because like I said, life doesn't have the greatest mid blocks. So we run 2 of these. Powerful 2 is nothing to sneeze at. Sorry, go back to it. Powerful 2 is nothing to sneeze at. On a turn 2, turn 3, and whatnot, that could be plus 8 damage, so an 11 damage attack. Not to mention, you could also build up your foundations the way you need to gain some massive speed and damage output. This card is definitely underrated. Alright, now we go into our throws. Right here, Overhead Reversal. Like I said, we run 3 of these. Build 1 foundation with a printed difficulty 0 from your discard pile committed. It's like a Back Alley Haymaker, but it doesn't have stun. But 4 damage, 3 low. Lows are kind of hard to block sometimes, so sometimes this will even get through just normal damage, which I think is fantastic. What I really care about is the fact it's a 4 difficulty throw. There's not a lot of those. So this is a big one. I only run 3 because I want to see this on the end of the chain. I don't want to see these like super close together or anything like that. Then we run 3 Net Gun Surprise. This card is amazing. It's a stun 2, which is fantastic because you need stun. Stun is fantastic, especially like you don't really care that your opponent blocks your throws, but it's still nice to have stun regardless. The response though is the nutty part. So you play this on your first block their mid or whatever, okay? And then the following block, after they play their attack, you make their attack speed 1. This is one of the best speed hate cards in life. And if you can run it, run it. This card is insane. It does so much. The 3 mid and 3 damage ain't that big of a deal, like, because you're usually going to hold this for your blocks. This feels like a breaker, to be honest. Like, this feels like a better breaker. This was jumping between this and Naval Laser Beam, and I decided this just because that speed 1 is just, it's nothing to sneeze at. It's really good. So, and the 3 damage can't come up. Like, you know, you could play this on the end of your chain and get an extra 3 damage in for that game hit or something like that. But, yeah. Stun 2 and speed hate on a card. Oh, it also removes itself, so now there's no progressive check. So your next block is going to be easier anyways. Yeah, it saves you. And you're a 20 health character, so I run 3 of these. You can definitely bounce between them. Whatever you feel like is more consistent to you, but I like it this way. So then we got 3 reverse throws. You'll notice a lot of my throws are 3 cost. I mean, like I have 3 of only. Like I said, 5 difficulties are just, they're kind of a pain. You want to see you want to see a nice string of attacks, but you also don't want to see a clog, because your first check is a 5, your second check is a 6, your third check is a 7. Like, it just adds up. Next attack is an 8. Like so, but this what's really cool about this is this actually does come up. So enhance, if this attack does 5 or more damage, draw 1 card. So all you need is 1 carb loading and any of your other attacks, like other foundations, that give 1 damage. And you immediately get to just net a card, which is amazing. Not only that, but you're also dealing a solid 5 damage regardless. 6 damage because of Toga, and that's just amazing. That's one of the reasons I wanted to try the throw build again, is because of cards like Carb Loading, Valiant Pose, Bench Press, like all these really good cards that just work in amazing amounts with Toga. So run 3 of those. 3-0 Gravity Lift, definitely bounce between 4 and 3 of these. I almost never see this card at 4. I always see it at 3, and it makes no sense, but this card is amazing. If I could run it at 4, I would, because this is probably one of the best throws in the entire deck. What we care about is this card, if it's like after it hits your momentum, it keeps your difficulties low, so you can continuously throw throws at your opponent. Throw throws. And I want to run this at 4. Don't get me wrong, I do want to run this at 4, but I'm having the hardest time finding room. Not to mention, it's the freaking high block. Life, you are getting high on life. This is the only situation where I don't want to get high on life. Too many freaking high blocks. So, yeah, we only run 3. And then probably the mediocre throw in the deck. It's really good with Face Shield, and it's nice to be able to add that block to your hand. But I only run 2 of it just because this deals less than 5 damage. I won't copy Face Shield from your discard pile to your hand. What's cool is Carb Loading makes this an immediate 4 damage regardless if they block it, or they take 8 damage. So you get a Face Shield or they take 8 damage. It seems like a nice trade. So we run 2 of those. Sideboard definitely can be like changed up. I run 2 Wall Cling, just for those decks that are going to go kind of crazy, you need and are changing different zones. It's nice to have. Easy side in, 2 plus Ultra, because the block is really good, but also the first enhance, discarding momentum, you're always going to have momentum. You can double the damage of one of your throw attacks. Can get kind of insane. So, 2 plus Ultra. We run 2 evade. We run 2 recovery time. Just being able to gain health. That's also a breaker 1 mid block, which is fantastic. And then after this card leaves by opponent's discard effect, draw 2 cards, so it replaces itself, which is absolutely amazing. So we run 2 of that. We run 1 NATO and Monoma, because big health characters are a pain, especially Nomu. Life doesn't have a whole lot of speed hate. Like I said, Nomu is a scary card against Toga. It was one of my hardest matchups, definitely, until I sided to Nita, and then now I'm a Nomu, and now they just kind of fall on their face, which is funny. And the Recovery Girl, she's self-explanatory. This card shouldn't even exist. It's way too broken. Your first form is gain 2 health, which is insane. Response after you take a damage, build 1 foundation from your discard pile. That's stupid. Enhance, destroy 2 foundations your attack gains throw. You'll never use that. All your decks are throws. So, and then 2 evade and copy. Really good block, really good effect. And then one of my enhance. This foundation gains all the enhanced builds like printed on one of your rival's non-unique foundations. So it could be your latent skill. It could be anything, like anything non-unique. It can't be spooky, sadly, because spooky is unique. So yeah, guys, that is my ThrowGA build, ThrowGA 2.0. As you guys can tell, this deck definitely took me a minute to definitely get over and try and figure out, because I have gone through definitely multiple setups and stuff. And unfortunately, the stats are still somewhat low. 174. It is a throw build, though, so that's actually pretty good. And then I was able to get my highs to a 26, and my mids to a 20 even, and my lows to a 14. I would recommend maybe throwing a few lows in your sideboard if you want to get rid of like Monoma or Wall Cling. You could definitely use some instant laser release, I think it is, or something like that. That card's really good. It's also momentum hate, and it's a low block. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck build. Definitely, I'll leave the link in the description below, a nice little copy for you, and give it a try. Let me know what you guys thought, and I'll see you next time on Eyes Lumia out.